And then, of course, what we're seeing right now outside your window is the lake effect. And we're going to get really deep into that here in just a moment. Sheffield Lake, about 2 inches is what you've picked up as of this morning. So in terms of snowfall totals, by the way, we've only picked up 26.8 so far for the winter season. 51 is our norm. So we still have nearly 25 inches of snow to make up before we return to normal. Will we do that before winter is done? I'm not feeling optimistic about it. But again, the big story moving forward throughout the day today, a couple of things. First and foremost, absolutely is going to be the lake effect snow along with the cold temperatures and wind chills. What's going on right now? Lake Erie about 34 degrees. So relative to the air temperatures, we will be stuck in the 20s all day. Our lake is relatively warm compared to the cold air out there. And of course, that is the perfect recipe for some moderate to heavy lake effect snow. That's going to create a lot of evaporation off of Lake Erie. That evaporation, of course, leads to the growth and development of clouds. Those clouds that you're seeing outside, that is what is producing the moderate and at times some heavy lake effect snow. And we're expecting, especially in parts of our primary snow belt, that being parts of eastern Cuyahoga County, Lake Geauga and Ashtabula County, we're anticipating for lake effect snow to really ramp up in your neck of the woods here by later on this afternoon and then throughout the evening and overnight hours. And it's one of the reasons why the National Weather Service has hung on to that lake effect snow warning. That means that lake effect snow is obviously imminent through the 6 o'clock hour on Saturday or through Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. And keep in mind, too, that wherever we see that lake effect snow band set up, that is where we could see some really impressive snowfall totals. Here's what the radars look like over the past 4 hours or so. You'll notice that you woke up this morning to what we consider as lake-enhanced snow. That was right along, say, the north coast. And what we're seeing now is that transition on over to some lake effect snow showers. And you can see some of that banding taking place. So let's jump into it and overlay the winds on here, because the winds really tell the story on where that lake effect snow is headed in the direction that it'll head. And you'll notice that our winds are basically from the west-northwest. So that's how our lake effect snow bands will begin to set on up before kind of pivoting, I think, a little more due west throughout the day today. And then again, I think that in parts of eastern Cuyahoga County, Lake Geauga and Ashtabula County, that's when we'll start getting into it. But right now what we're seeing is just the scattered lake effect snow bands. So let's jump into a couple of the more impressive bands. By the way, with lake effect snow, it's not uncommon at times to actually hear growls of thunder, perhaps at times seeing a few flashes of lightning. Typically, lake effect can be a little bit more convective, is what we call it at times. So don't be too surprised if you see that. But from Norwalk over toward Wakeman, New London over toward Wellington, again, it is the light to moderate snow that we're seeing. As we get into toward Wellington, Litchfield area, and then from Lodi down through 76 into Wadsworth area, notice where we're seeing those deeper areas of lavender. That indicates more heavy lake effect snow. So here's what it looks like, or here's what I want you to envision. Pretend that you're driving right now along I-76, all right, just west of Wadsworth. You are going to see, as you're driving perhaps down toward the south, a big giant sheet of what looks like, a big giant cloud on the ground. And what that is our heavy lake effect snow. So unfortunately, when you're driving through some of these bands, you can actually run into near whiteout conditions. And when that happens, you of course want to make sure that you're decelerating, that you have 2 hands on that steering wheel, the music off, and that your 100% undivided attention is on the road. So again, just keep that in mind as you're on the road, perhaps getting ready to jump out the door on your lunch break. And then, of course, just as quickly as you run into it, you'll exit that snow band, and then it'll look like a beautiful day, right? But again, just watch as you're driving in parts of, say, Medina County, from Litchfield down through Lodi. You can see where we're tracking the moderate to heavy lake effect snow bands right along 162 toward, again, the Wadsworth community. For my friends in downtown Cleveland, if you're joining me from parts of Cuyahoga County, especially east of 77, here's what we were just showing you with our CSU cam, is that moderate to heavy lake effect snow that's falling as we speak. It's falling from downtown over through the Heights, so Mayfield Heights, Richland Heights, if you're joining me from Solon, Auburn area. Again, this is where we're seeing a little lake effect snow band setting up. And notice that there's a little tilt to that, so we're expecting this to continue to become a little bit more westerly. Right now it's shaped in that northwest direction. I think that as the morning progresses and then as we head into the afternoon, that these bands should become a little bit more linear from west to east. So that'll be something that we're tracking for you. And wherever those snow bands, of course, persist for long periods of time, that's where we could see significant snowfall accumulation on top of what is already on the ground. This will make for a difficult, perhaps, drive home from work around the 4 to 5 o'clock hour, especially in parts of our primary snow belt. So this evening's commute, depending on where these snow bands really set up, could be really tricky. So give yourself plenty of time, especially in parts of eastern Cuyahoga, Lake Geauga, and parts of Ashtabula County. Let's go up to Ashtabula right now as we speak, because of course you guys are smack dab in the middle of our primary snow belt. Not a whole lot right now. As we mentioned, just a few inches of snowfall on the ground, but as these bands become a little bit more linear west to east, I think that we'll get in on some of this action from, say, Geauga County and then throughout parts of Lake County and then into Ashtabula County as those snow bands again begin to become a little bit more linear in shape. So from, say, Pigeon Creek over toward Akron, we'll highlight some of our bigger cities right now, Akron, and then, of course, jumping into Canton, you're seeing some lake effect snow from Coventry, north and southbound along Interstate 77. That's going to be a tricky go with things. Keep in mind that if there's folks from out of town that are traveling on some of these interstates, they might not be as familiar with how to navigate through lake effect snow. So again, sometimes it's not you that you got to worry about, it's the other folks on the roadway that you got to worry about that are slipping and sliding. So please give yourself plenty of distance between your vehicle and that vehicle in front of you, and be on the lookout even for the vehicles that are passing you on the right and on the left, because again, if they hit some tricky spots on the roadways, fishtailing can certainly occur, and that can, of course, lead to some accidents. So watch out for that. This is continuing to press over towards, say, Kent. So I think that in Kenton, towards, say, Kent State University, Cuyahoga Falls area, we'll be getting in on that moderate to heavy lake effect snow here within the next 30 minutes to 45 minutes or so. And then into Canton we go, just some scattered snow showers in the area from Lawrence over toward Massillon, Bethlehem, and then north and southbound as you exit parts of Stark County into parts of Tuscarawas County, some scattered snow showers. The other big weather story that we were mentioning is that huge temperature plunge, right? It is cold outside. Our actual temperatures, the air temps in the mid-20s, Mansfield, Elyria, Worcester, 25, a really popular number today on our weather map. Akron, Canton checking in at 25 degrees, Dover, New Philly at 25 as well. But notice though the wind chills. Meteorologist Matt Wentz highlighted this yesterday. We were talking about how our wind chills at times falling into the single digits. That's exactly what we're seeing in Ashtabula County as we speak. It only feels like 9 degrees, and this is really going to be the trend throughout the day today. So if you're out the door in Mansfield, Elyria, Worcester, Akron, Canton, anywhere in between, I need you to dress for our wind chill temperatures of, again, 10 at the Cuyahoga County Airport, Elyria sitting chilly at 10 degrees as well in terms of our wind chills. And throughout the day today, just keep in mind that wind chills will hover perhaps in those single digits at times. So let's take you forward from this point and show you what we're anticipating. As we mentioned, notice that there's that northwest orientation of a few of those lake effect snow bands. We'll pick things up at lunchtime today. As I was just showing you on our radar, it's a little bit more scattered than this, but generally speaking, what we're anticipating is for our northwest tilt to our lake effect snow bands to then become a little bit more east-northeast in their tilt before becoming nearly due west as we head throughout the evening hours. But notice that around the 1 o'clock hour, we're anticipating for some of these lake effect snow bands to become just a little bit more oriented together. And should we see any megabands persist through the area, again, I think that we could then at that point see some heavier lake effect snow totals. This is what a quick stop at 10 p.m. this evening looks like. Again, notice how we went from that northwest orientation to more of a westerly orientation. And that lake effect snow band, wherever it sets up, could produce significant snowfall totals, and it could waver too. This is not gospel by any stretch of the imagination. So if you're joining me up towards, say, North Madison, and you're like, I'm well away from this, keep in mind, should the orientation of this thing pivot to the north by a couple of miles or to the south by a couple of miles, that's where we'll see the more significant, impactful snowfall accumulation. So as of this point, we're really thinking that eastern Cuyahoga County, Lake Geauga, Ashtabula, perhaps even northern Trumbull County and the northern parts of, say, Portage County and perhaps even northern Summit County, just being on the lookout for heavy lake effect snow bands to persist throughout parts of this afternoon, the evening, the overnight hours. As we mentioned, even Friday, tomorrow, I think we're still fighting through some lake effect snow showers. This is what Friday morning looks like. I want you to keep this in mind that if you have school kids that are perhaps tuning in, or maybe you're a parent and you're wondering, all right, are we going to see school tomorrow? Know that wherever that lake effect snow band persists throughout the evening tonight, and by tomorrow morning, that's when you'll really need to pay very close attention, especially in parts of our primary snow belt, for any school closings, any school cancellations, or delays due to lake effect snow. So again, this will be ongoing through tomorrow morning. It'll be a very chilly night outside of our primary snow belt. So outside of Cuyahoga, Lake Geauga, Ashtabula, Trumbull County. If you're joining me from, say, Canton area, Worcester and Wayne County, down towards, say, Holmes County, Millersburg area, I think that we'll be, for the most part, out of all of this, which is the good news. This is really going to be something that sets up for parts of our primary snow belt throughout the day tomorrow on Friday. Although you could see at times perhaps a couple of scattered snow showers from time to time. Again, this is going to be something that impacts our primary snow belt throughout the day tomorrow on Friday. And it also lingers into early on Saturday as well. So this is going to be a multi-day system. And when you add up all of those snowfall, the accumulation over that time period, again, this is not all coming down at once, but over the entire time period, should we see that lake effect snow band develop over our primary snow belt, this would generally be the area where we're talking about more significant snowfall accumulations. We have not put actual numbers on it because if you're from Northeast Ohio, you've been here for a while, it is tremendously difficult to nail down a specific number on what you'll see. So what I like to do is talk about what the impacts to you could be. So should we see that lake effect snow band persist over parts of Geauga County, say toward Newberry, for long periods of time, again, we'd expect impactful, significant snowfall accumulations that would absolutely lead to school closings, cancellations, delays. There would be a lot of tricky spots, not only on the bridges and overpasses, but of course the neighborhood streets, the thoroughfares, the secondary and tertiary thoroughfares is what we would expect. So again, who receives how much snow? I think that in our primary snow belt, eastern Cuyahoga, Lake Geauga, Ashtabula, perhaps northern Trumbull, northern Portage, and parts of northern Summit County, that's where we could see, depending on where that snow band persists and sets up throughout the afternoon, the evening, the overnight, throughout the day tomorrow on Friday and into early Saturday, that's where we'd see the biggest impact. So again, any plans over the next couple of days in this area, just make sure you have a couple of backups in place just to be on the safe side because driving could be way too difficult for it. All right, let's break down your Universal Windows Direct 7-day forecast because I got some good news for you. There is light at the end of this proverbial snow tunnel. It's cold through Saturday. That's, of course, going to support the lake effect that we'll see throughout the start of your weekend. But notice that on Sunday, we do see a nice switch in those winds and a nice pattern shift. Temperatures back in the mid-40s. And yes, indeed, I think by early next week, we could be talking about temperatures in the 50s. Although for a lot of you that are sick and tired of winter, that means good news. There is a little caveat to that. With much warmer temperatures, when we surge from the 20s into the 50s, we'll see not only melting, but we're also anticipating rain, not only on Monday, but also on Tuesday. Rain on top of snow, and then you add in the 50-degree heat. There will be lots of melting. You see where I'm getting with this? That could over-exacerbate some of the sewer systems when you're talking about all of that water that will be in place by that point. So by Monday, Tuesday, and yes, even into Wednesday with scattered showers in the forecast, flooding could absolutely be a concern, especially in our primary snowbelt where we're expecting to see more significant snowfall accumulation. So again, Lake County, Geauga County, parts of Cuyahoga County, Ashtabula County. By next week, although it looks great weather-wise in the temperature department, I need you to be concerned and at least paying attention to how much water is falling, not only from the sky in terms of the rain, but how much of that water is beginning to collect in areas that could be more flood prone. So watch for that by next week. That'll certainly be the big weather story moving forward. Of course, you can always connect with me online. I'm on Facebook, also, of course, on Twitter and on Instagram. That's Michael Estime WX. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, what I'm going to do real quick is head on over to my computer and try to address a couple of those questions that you may have now. So we'll kind of run through the cycle of this forecast for you one more time as we do so. But again, what you're looking at on perhaps your mobile device or your computer right now is snowfall totals. As of this point, we will, of course, be adding to these snowfall accumulation totals with the lake effect that'll be ongoing. Here's what we've seen so far this winter season. And at this point, believe it or not, it's actually been a fairly not only mild winter, but a relatively snow-free winter as well. I know that a lot of school kids, when I go to some of the school visits, they're asking me, all right, so Michael, when am I going to get a snow day, right? Well, if you didn't get one today, we'll have to watch for perhaps a snow day possible in our primary snowbelt tomorrow. That'll be on Friday. So fingers crossed for you guys if you're looking forward to that. But again, I just say that, again, it's been kind of one of those seasons where we haven't really seen much, so we've kind of underperformed in the snowfall department. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to our Facebook page, our WKYC Facebook page, just for a moment so that I can follow up with any questions that you guys might have about the lake effect snow that we're experiencing as of this point. As we mentioned before, the reason why lake effect happens, by the way, first and foremost, is because Lake Erie is relatively warm. Believe it or not, here's a little fun fact for you. Lake Erie water temperature is 34 degrees, only 0.5. Less than 1% of Lake Erie is snow covered or is ice covered at this point. So it is wide open for lake effect snow to develop. And with a cold surge of air that you're feeling outside right now, temps only in the 20s, that is going to absolutely ignite those lakes. And that's why we'll see moderate to heavy lake effect snow, especially in parts of our primary snowbelt. All right, so a couple of friends are saying in Chesterland it is coming down. Conneaut, at this point, you're not seeing much in the way of lake effect snow right now in parts of Ashtabula County. But again, that will be picking up as the afternoon and evening wears on. Looking at a couple of other folks just saying, some folks saying that they're missing Cleveland. They wish they were here in that lake effect snow. Totally understand. So some folks in near Progressive Field just saying that, yeah, there's a lot of snow coming down in downtown. That's exactly what we're looking at right now. Some folks saying, yeah, great day to have a snowblower, especially in our primary snowbelt. A really, really good call. Friends in Norwalk saying that it's snowing like crazy in Norwalk. And I'll zoom in on that area for you just for a quick second to show you what things look like. I'll show you where that snow is really coming down right now is really in parts of Medina and southeast of Medina, right along, say, I-71. So right here, where you're seeing those deep lavender and blue colorings, that's where our heaviest lake effect snow is right now. So precip snowfall rates, about 1/4 of an inch an hour is what it looks like as of this point. But again, should that linger over the area for any extended period of time, I'll loop this over the past hour, and you'll see that it's kind of moving in more of a wave pattern. But should these lake effect snow bands, which we're anticipating them to do later on this evening, to linger over an area like eastern Cuyahoga County, southern parts of Lake County, northern perhaps Geauga County, and then through parts of Ashtabula County, I think this is going to be the zone, and let me circle it here real quick. I think this is going to be this zone that we really need to watch throughout the afternoon and the evening for heavy lake effect snow. So let me write it in for those folks that might have this on mute on their phones. I'll say heavy lake effect snow possible here. All right. So this is going to be the area where we'll have to watch out for heavy lake effect snow throughout the evening. So just heads up again for my friends that live in eastern Cuyahoga County, Lake Geauga, Ashtabula County for that. All right, so continuing on, it all has to do with the winds, and I'll wrap things up here in the next few minutes. But again, feel free to head on over to my Facebook page. We'll, of course, be updating you on this throughout the afternoon and the evening. You can, of course, join not only Chief Meteorologist Betsy Kling, but also Matt Winst will be in at 5 p.m. this evening, tracking what's going on radar-wise. But all I can say right now is, boy, oh boy, if all you've wanted is some snow this winter season, we'll certainly continue to track that. But just be careful if you're heading out on your lunch break between Medina and Wadsworth especially, because again, that lavender indicating heavy lake effect snow, perhaps a little bit of lightning could be seen in a few of these bands a little later on today. This is going to be our area of interest that we really begin to focus on throughout the late afternoon and the evening hours. Right now up toward Ashtabula, one of our friends in Conneaut, which is right on the border here. There's a Conneaut in Ohio. There's also a Conneaut in Pennsylvania. But right here, you're dry for the moment. But again, throughout the latter half of the evening and overnight, that may be changing. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me here on WKYC's Facebook page. I hope that you have a wonderful afternoon. Please be safe when you're driving, especially if you encounter any of these lake effect snow bands. And of course, we'll be back with you on air at 5 p.m. this evening. Looking forward to seeing you then.